Hello, welcome to New Earth Lifestyles. I'm Janie King, your host of New Earth Lifestyles, Manchester, New Hampshire, August 14, 2014. 8/14/14. Wow, it's a pretty cool number. So I have my singing bowl here to keep us breathing. So welcome to the show, and thank you to Manchester TV for this lovely studio, and to John Eric O'Neill for being our technical director. Today my guest is Dorothy Morgan, astrologer, and so we're going to be talking about the moon and the stars and the heavens and different things like that. So welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
it's always fun.
So this
time you remembered your computer.
I did, because my computer has the software on it, because I don't do this by memory anymore. I used to do the configurations, the astrology configurations, long form math, but it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Long form math.
Yes.
Remember those days?
Oh.
I don't. I was a math major. I took calculus and advanced calculus and abstract geometry. Just to think about it.
Astrology is mainly geometry once you have the chart set up, but the setup is the latitude and longitudes, and then you have to start doing all kinds of division and addition and subtraction, that isn't too hard, but the latitude and longitude part, I'm rusty. I wouldn't be able to do it right now if I needed to.
That's the thing about machines. They make us rusty.
I know. This is true.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Just introduce us to who Dorothy Morgan is and how you got into being an astrologer. I know you talked about that the last show, but let's just do a little quick review.
I am a professional astrologer. I've been doing this for 25 years. Well, I started my studies 25 years ago as a profession, and my sole source of income, and the main thing in my whole life that I do is the astrology, and I've been doing that for 7 years.
Okay.
So the business end of it. So
it's fully been your support for 7 years.
Yes.
Lucky 7 years.
Yeah. 7 is.
Congratulations, that's a long time.
That is, and 7 actually in astrology is a very important number, because we have the planet Saturn, and he has a cycle that can be divided by 7.
Oh, really?
And that just is, and he's about keeping things in order, putting things in order, working hard towards goals. He's kind of like the professor. He's also the Lord of Karma. So the Lord of Karma. Karma can be good.
And so karma is what goes around comes around?
Yeah, and you get what you deserve, and you get what you earn.
And what you deserve and what you earn. I thought it was you get what you put out.
And you get what you put out. It doesn't matter what word you use there. It really is. It really is. How do you want to look at it? What's your perspective? So
do unto others as you have them do unto you means that's what you'll get back.
Exactly. And so anytime something comes up into a 7-year cycle, Saturn is the one that's in charge of that as far as astrology goes. Saturn, the planet Saturn. And so right now, as a square, it's a 90-degree angle from where it started, since it has a 28-degree year cycle. The math, that's math.
That's right.
Don't let that confuse you.
28 is 4 sevens, and
it's A-okay. But
so Saturn takes 28 years
to go around the solar system.
Correct. To where it started, from where it started. The whole circular thing.
And so that means that any moment in time can be the beginning of something, like a birth, or the beginning of something, anything. The beginning of baking a cake. There's always a beginning of something. Of course, you don't take 7 years to cook a cake, but
maybe 7 minutes. If for the fast ones, I don't know if they're having 7-minute cakes, but
27,
27,
or 28.
So something's always starting every second, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah, and so for Saturn, as far as that cycle goes, and that 7-year cycle is just the planet is at a 90-degree angle to where it was when it began.
What does that mean?
That means that a 90-degree angle is an angle that is about challenges, obstacles that equal opportunities. It's where we have lessons. So right now, in my 7 years of doing this as a profession, I'm not quite at the 28 years of studying it, which would be a complete Saturn cycle, but I'm at the 7 years of doing this as a profession. So for me, it's about making adjustments. The world is different now. There's a lot going on now. When I teach my students, because I do a lot of teaching and a lot of study groups, there's 2 in New Hampshire here. Well, actually, they're both in Maine. One's in Elliott, Maine, and one's in Wells, Maine, and the other one is in Andover, Massachusetts. So actually, I don't teach anything in New Hampshire, even though I'm out of
you meant to say.
New England. Yes, but
that's a lot of teaching. That's
that
great.
is, it is.
And you love doing that.
I love doing it.
Great.
I was just finished a vacation for 2 weeks, and I was feeling like, God, I'm ready to go home. What's wrong? And all of a sudden, I started talking astrology with some of my mates that I was vacationing with, and I realized it's like, oh, I missed that. I didn't talk astrology for almost a whole week, so it was like, heaven forbid.
Oh, she's having an astrology fix
I
breakdown
know. Oops,
thing.
I did something to my computer. Oops, there we go. But yeah, that was.
Isn't that funny? So that means that's a good indication that you're doing what your passion is.
I am.
You're doing what you love to do, and what a
Absolutely.
model you are for those of us looking for that.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, when you go on vacation and you miss what you do every day, then
Yeah.
that means you need to, then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
You're on
it
vacation
does.
pretty much when you're not on vacation.
yeah, because I love what I do, so it's important
That's
to
great.
just continue to do it no matter whether it's a vacation or not. I don't really need a vacation because, I do what I want when I want.
Yeah, you just put out a little opening in your schedule, and if
Yeah.
you need to go somewhere, sit on the beach and talk astrology at the beach.
Yes.
Or wherever you like, in the mountains, or wherever you
Yeah.
like to go.
All of the above, yeah. I live in the mountains of New Hampshire, and I'm from the seacoast, so I love.
That's right.
Yes, so I do both. Yep, I do both. I love it. So when Saturn is at a square angle or making a 90-degree angle or a 7-year connection, it's all about working and readjusting what is working, reevaluating what isn't, and then what does work is really going to work well because it's taken the test of 7 years, which is an important amount of years in astrology. And that means, so what's working at this point in my career or my profession is where I'll continue to go, but I have to really be honest with myself and evaluate what isn't working and let that go no matter what I feel about it.
Is there anything like that in your life that you have to let go? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, so that I can understand, what does it mean to be square or 90 degrees? 90 degrees of what?
From where it began.
Okay, so Saturn started here.
Yep.
And so
eventually,
it went around the sun,
right.
and so now it's like up here.
It's only at a 90-degree angle away.
So it's like here, like this would be a 90-degree angle. It's up here.
Yeah, it's not necessarily math. I mean, it's not necessarily the physicalness of that. It's just from our perspective here on Earth.
Okay.
All right?
Oh, okay. So an angle is like this big,
That's right.
like, and so 90 degrees is like
is
a
like
square.
that. Right. That's right. So
So
there's a
that's- I'm
square.
trying to
So there's a
picture that in my
90-degree angle is 1 year, one group of 7 years.
Okay.
An opposition, which means one is here and one is here, that is an opposition. So that's 14 years as far as Saturn is concerned.
Okay.
The next square is a waning square. So it's down here.
Waning.
Waning square. Everything's waxing and waning, just like the moon.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't
So
know that.
it's a waning square when it's coming back to apply to itself. So that's 21 years, and then at 28 years, it's back to where it began. Sometimes it's 28 and a half years. It's not exact.
Well, it's a pretty big planet and pretty big orbit.
It is. But that's the one that really matures people in astrology. That's, life is divided kind of into threes. So, you do, 28 years, approximately 30 years, 30 years, 30 years, 30 years.
Okay.
So
Oh, I see.
humans don't typically get past 90. We are starting to,
Yes.
some of us.
I'm going to get past 90.
I am as well.
Great.
I know. It's like, here we go.
We'll be friends for a long time.
I think so. A Capricorn moon, there's only one disadvantage to that, and that means...
Capricorn moon. Is that what you are?
Yeah, I have a Capricorn moon. So the Capricorn moon in the 8th house, and that just means that it's a long life. Usually it's typically a long
Can
life.
you see that in my chart? Where my moon is?
You have Jupiter in your 8th house, so that also is an indication of a long life.
Okay. Good.
And your moon and Pluto are connected. They're conjunct, it's called. So they're in pretty much the same location when you were born, just separated by a couple degrees. And so that is tenacity.
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 Tenacity. Da-da-da-da. Woo.
There you go.
I
It
never
does.
knew I had tenacity. You know that? That's that shy. That's what I've been pushing down all my life, and now it's starting to pop out.
I know, about time. But Jupiter is right in that location too.
Jupiter.
Jupiter is moving across your Pluto and your moon, so that's very good. So that's all about expanding your public awareness, because all that's in your first house.
Which means
Public awareness.
public awareness.
Awareness where you're showing the world who you are,
Okay.
you know, and you might be even changing your appearance a little bit.
Probably am. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of shaving my hair. Shaving my hair. So I just want to let people know that if you were ever wanted Dorothy to do your chart, this is kind of what a chart looks like.
That's a busy one,
You
too.
probably can't get a very close-up of it, but a busy one? But anyway,
Well, she's got 3 wheels up there, the lady who did that one. Here's a better look. Show
better
this
look.
one.
Oh,
Because that's just an individual chart.
okay.
There you go.
So
Won't be
there's
so
3
quick.
wheels? Oh, I
There's
see,
3
that's
wheels on
right.
that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that
right.
one's
It's only
pretty
supposed to
crazy.
be
Well, that's the
1 or
birth. This
2.
is the birth chart. Just
So
the
this is
one.
the birth chart.
Yeah.
So if you ever wanted a chart done, this is what Dorothy does. So these are the 12 houses around the circle,
Yeah.
and you'd give your birth date and your place of birth and your full name and
Time.
And
The
time of your
birth
birth.
is very important.
time of birth. And
It's
she could
very
do up a chart
important.
and tell you all about where your Saturn is and Jupiter and all those.
And whatever
lovely-
cycle you're in, because everybody has cycles, and we all as humans have specific cycles, especially because of Saturn. We all have certain cycles,
So
and
the cycles are mostly because of Saturn.
well, it's just cycles.
It's just cycles.
You know, every planet has a certain amount of time that it takes to go around the solar system.
Uh-huh.
So around us,
Uh-huh.
in essence. So there's
Around
cycles.
us.
Everyone has cycles in life.
Yeah, moment to moment, there's a cycle.
Yeah, and it's always there are waxing phases and waning phases, just like the moon.
Okay.
You know, just like the moon cycle.
So a waxing would be getting bigger and a waning would be getting smaller.
This is correct.
Okay.
So a waxing, as far as astrology goes, a waxing would be an applying aspect. It's applying pressure,
Okay.
and then it makes a conjunction, and then it moves on, and it is a separating aspect after that. So again, it's a waxing aspect or a waning aspect. And some have more, the waxing ones do have more power, more strength than the waning ones, because it's building, 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 building. And you're like, okay, it's like the cooking of a meal, especially a big meal, you know, it takes hours and hours, and then everybody sits down and they're like, woof, and they eat it, done, 20 minutes.
Like Thanksgiving.
And then you have to clean up, and that's the waning phase. So in a way, that's a good example.
That is a
of-
good example.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So,
Great.
so with the astrology, you know, there's so many things you can use astrology for too.
Like
you
what?
know?
Like,
I mean,
that's
this
today.
morning I did a consultation with a young lady who is wanting to leave one job and go to another. And she's wanting to see what would be the best timing for her to tell her current employer that here's my 2-week notice, and when would be the best time to start the new job that she
Right.
already has. It's already ready.
Nice.
You know, and she doesn't have to start till October, so she's wondering, do I do this in a month or in 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. So we sat down and we talked for a little while, and we just figured out what was the best time so she could have the best results
So based on her chart,
based on her chart.
based on where the planets were in her cycle of on her natal, her birth chart.
Right, so I would take the natal chart, like this one that Jane just showed you, and then I put the planets where they are around today and over the next few weeks where they were around her chart, and then I see the mathematical angles as well. So besides seeing the angles in a chart right here, you can see all the lines. There's a bunch of lines in the middle of this chart, and the lines in the middle of this chart are the mathematical geometric angles that the planets made at the time that somebody was born.
You can kind of hold that up there and
Would you
maybe
like me to
talk
hold-
about
I
it.
can't see a thing, so how about that? Does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
Can't see you now, but
That's okay.
put it down a little.
But this is the angles of the planets at the time that Jane was born, and this we would do this for anybody who had a session. But then you put to see what's going on in today, tomorrow, 2 years from now. It doesn't matter. You can put the planets around this chart, and then I look at the mathematical angles they're making to these planets.
I see. So you'd superimpose today's planets
Yes.
on top of the planets where they were when I was born.
Correct.
And see what their interaction is.
See what their interaction is, and that's what I interpret.
And that's what you do.
That's what I do.
Do you talk to the planets? They tell you what to say?
Not necessarily.
I
read their vibration.
You read the
I
vibration because
read
you're
the
intuitive
vibration.
as well.
I'm extremely intuitive, yes.
Yeah, so you've been doing this and studying this for long enough now that there's more than just reading the chart for you.
This is true.
You're reading other stuff.
I am. Yeah, absolutely. There's a vibration that goes along with it.
Uh-huh.
You know, when I first started doing this as a profession, I was pretty like by the book, and it was very static. I mean, it was fine, but and it was very informative for clients, but it flows now.
Because it's second nature, and you're getting more. Your antennas are out there listening while you're reading, and
Exactly.
you know a lot of this is really inside of you now, as a knowing and a passion.
Completely, yeah.
When things come to us as a passion, you're just so much more. There's so much more available intuitively that way.
There is. Yeah, it is. It's good that way, and there's so much global stuff going on right now that, I mean, even with this, I mean, if I took a snapshot of this moment in time, it would look, it wouldn't look like Jane's chart, but it would look like a chart.
Mm-hmm.
And we see what's going on right now, and we can see what's in the news.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care to talk about too much of the stuff that's in the news because it's too sad and depressing.
It's a lot. Yes.
It's a lot, but
happening.
there's a point behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that are happening right now, I actually made a few notes for myself. Some of the stuff that's happening right now, I mean, we know that Robin Williams has passed, and a few other famous people have passed, and it tends to come into groups like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when people that are that famous pass away, there's a collective sadness and a collective raising of grief. People don't want to face their grief.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and right now we have Mars is in the part of the zodiac sign. It's Scorpio. It's coming up to Saturn in Scorpio. So we have Mars and Saturn. They're kind of going neck and neck. Mars is faster than Saturn because it's closer to us. It's about to catch up with Saturn. It will on the 22nd, 23rd, something like that. I can't remember the exact date, but next week. But right now, while Mars is in Scorpio, connecting to Saturn in Scorpio, Scorpio is all about shifting and changing, a deep transition. It is the sign of people passing. It doesn't happen every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, the globe, the world, is needing to feel some collective sadness, some collective grief, and just bring it up and out because of this, the new moons and the full moons we've been having this year, and we'll have the rest, throughout the year. That's new energy coming in. And if we're hanging on to grief and to sorrow, then it's not easy for the new vibrations. They don't have a place they don't fit yet. So we need space. So energetically, when the planets create situations for the whole world to feel, and there's some terrible stuff going on in the Middle East, and just all of those things.
The shooting in Missouri
And
of
just-
the innocent young man.
And just so many different things.
Horror.
And again, I mean, just the collective sadness of Robin Williams passing. I mean, this is something that
He is a worldwide figure.
I
He
mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, I felt it. I just totally felt it.
very,
when I
very
found
sad.
Out.
Yeah.
Very sad.
And so, how sad you feel? I mean, just allow this to come up and out. It's okay to feel that. Even though we don't know him personally, you could feel connected with him. He's just such a wonderful human being.
Right.
But he walked a thin line, like many people do,
Right.
with his condition, with the mental illness that he had.
Right.
Many people do. So to me, what I see with that, energetically, is like, so what are we releasing? So depending on how you feel, or what you feel, or what's even connecting to you. I mean, I had a good friend pass 6 weeks ago, so I'm feeling that more than Robin Williams, but it still brings it up.
Yeah, it makes it
you
harder
know,
for
it-
people that have lost loved ones to, it
Yeah.
comes back together as a reminder of
Yeah,
that grief.
it is, but it's okay to. Grief has to come up and out. Like I said, the new energies and the new vibrations need a place to anchor. And if we're still full of grief and we're not allowed, especially here in this country, we don't know how to handle grief.
No.
We're not taught about death. We don't
No.
accept death as something that's it's just another phase.
Right.
I
Right.
can't see that in someone's chart. You can never see death in someone's chart.
Oh, you can't.
No,
You can't see when they're going to.
not when.
Okay.
Possibly how.
Really?
Possibly
Okay.
how. For myself, I could tell you about myself because I will not tell people. I won't. You can study astrology and learn on your own. I will not tell you.
So you know how you're going to die?
I know it will be a lung issue for me.
Oh.
It will be a lung issue. Eventually, maybe something will go on, everything will be fine, and my lungs won't handle what I have to deal with.
Or you could look at it as you're paying better attention to your lungs and not letting that happen.
This is true.
Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility, but typically when people, the transits, the planet positions that I have, looking at this, that, and the other thing, I should never smoke. And I did for 15 years. I only quit 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 3.5 years ago.
Well, your lungs
January
are
2nd.
You remember?
Yes, I do. It was an eclipse day, actually. It was just one of those things. I just said, whew, I'm done with that. Took the lighter out of the pack, threw them into the wood stove, and
Wow.
that was it. Done.
Good.
Yeah, it was cold
That's
turkey.
That's
it was
the way
easy.
to do it. Cold turkey, but you had an alignment.
I did.
Must have had something to do with the
Eclipse on that day. Yeah.
The eclipse said, "All right, you're done with this. Pew, throw it in the fire."
I did. I know. It was good.
Well, let's go on to that 3.5 years
I know.
of clean lungs. Ooh, she
I
can
know.
breathe deeper now.
Yes, I can. Started yoga. You just do all kinds of good things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
just
right. Who
good-
else
good
out there
things.
wants to do? Can you say that you've
Yeah.
cold turkey, threw those cigarettes in the fire, and for me it was 80s, 1982 or something.
Yeah.
I didn't smoke really heavy. Well, I smoked probably a pack a day. I don't know. I was a smoker, but I started running, jogging
Yeah.
as soon as I quit, so that I
Yeah.
could clean out my lungs.
Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't like it. I was not a good smoker. I would hide. Most people never even knew I was a smoker.
I never knew you were a smoker because I don't know
Never.
if I've known you more than 3 years. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah, isn't that interesting? It just doesn't matter much, but
So I was curious about these 3 big moons, and the last one was just the weekend where a lot of this violence sort of things, not violence, but this, violence.
everything erupted. Yeah.
That young man that got killed by the police officer in Missouri, and Robin Williams the next day, and maybe I'm sure there are other people out there that had.
Well,
stuff
over the
going
last
on.
couple of days, the full moon was in the sign of Aquarius. The sun was in Leo, is still in Leo, and the moon is in Aquarius. And so Aquarius is the revolutionary. So when the moon is in Aquarius.
Aquarius is the revolutionary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Well, they can be very stuck in their ways, too, anybody who's an Aquarius.
Uh-huh.
But as the moon moves through the sign of Aquarius, which only takes 2.5 days for the moon to move through any zodiac sign, right?
Okay.
But being that it was highlighted as a full moon,
Mm-hmm.
that just means that we needed to break out of some old patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's the independent, it's the revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know a lot of Aquarius people, and you would think, and if you know them, you might say, no, they don't buck the system at all, but
Oh.
they do. They get very stuck in their ways, and that is the way that they buck the system. Now, some people will be, very abrupt, and when it's a full moon, it is a complete and total awareness of what isn't working for you. And those are both very fixed signs. The Leo and the Aquarius are fixed signs, so that just means that if something's going to happen, it will be a very big, rough, a sudden shift of energy. And since the moon was at its peregrine, it's called.
Peregrine?
And
Like
that's when
peregrine
it's a
falcon?
supermoon. Am I pronouncing it right? Peregrine, yeah, G-E-E, peregrine.
Peregrine.
I always say peregrine for some reason, but it's peregrine.
That makes you smile.
Yes, I know. I love those birds.
I do too. So
it
the
just
moon
means
was
the
in
moon
the
is very
Peregrine,
close.
means it was the
Very
closest to
clo-
the Earth.
Closest to the Earth that
So
it will be
it has
for
a
the
kind
year.
of a wobbly.
It does. Elliptic.
Elliptic,
It's elliptic.
thing that goes around.
And so it happens.
Earth.
It happens pretty much every year. But this year we have 3 of them. But why they say they're supermoon, I'm not sure exactly why they say that, because there's only one perigee. That just means one full moon when it is the closest to the Earth for this year.
Yeah, there can only be one that's the closest. They can't all
Right.
be closest.
The closest, I know. So the other 2, I'm not sure, but this one was the closest one. And we have another one in September, I believe.
So do we get a pull from that? Is there a pull happening when the
yes.
moon's that close to the
Yeah,
Earth?
absolutely. You know, it's about 14%. It seems like the moon will look and feel about 14% closer, and we are affected by the moon. So, I mean,
Because we're all water.
we're water. I mean, as adults, we're around 84% water as adults, a little closer to 90% as children for some reason, as we get denser, as we get older, or dehydrated.
Dense and dehydrated.
I looked that up one time, and it's like, all right, how much are we really made of water? And it's a little less than what I had thought. So yeah, we're in the 80s, in the low 80s.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. So we're water beings. So the moon being going around the Earth like that kind of pulls us.
Always.
Does this pull for us, like the same way it pulls the oceans.
Absolutely.
It's funny we don't notice that in the ponds, though. They're not a big enough body of water.
I wonder. That's a good observation. I've never thought of that.
I just thought of it now, and the rivers and the streams, but, you know,
Yeah.
it must affect them somehow. Maybe if you put a stick somewhere and measured it, you would see a little
Yeah,
whoop,
I wonder.
whoop.
Yeah, you got to wonder. Maybe they're just not big enough or to be noticed. Who knows? That is a good question. I have no idea.
Well, they affect us on a psychological or a real subtle level.
It does.
So we don't really notice.
Well, we can notice.
But we do notice it when we go a little, bonkers on a full moon or,
Sometimes. Or it depends on where the moon moves through in your chart. Because everybody's got their chart set up a little bit different. It's not the natural chart. And the way you learn and you study astrology, if you look at it as far as Western astrology goes, Aries is on the first house, which is east. Taurus is the second house. Gemini is the third, and just all the way through the whole zodiac.
Okay.
But, pardon me, but once we're born, you got your Aries. Aries for you, the beginning of the zodiac for you, because of the time and place that you were born, it starts up at the top of the chart at the 10th house, not the first. So everybody has a little bit of a spin to
That's a pretty big spin.
the chart. It is, but it's going to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And everybody has a little flavor of every zodiac sign in their chart, everything. Every sign. We're not just one sign. We are a sun sign. Everybody knows their sun sign.
We
but
do?
What sign are you?
Oh, I'm a Virgo.
That's your sun sign.
Oh, that's my sun sign. That's right. The sun.
That's all right. Most people don't even know that much. That's okay.
Some people do and some people don't. But I've known that. But I don't know how long I've known that. But you look up your thing in the newspaper to see what you're doing today.
Yeah, that's just much crap, but that's my opinion. To be blunt.
Yeah, that's what I used to do, but that felt the same way. It doesn't tell me anything.
It doesn't. It's too vague. It's just too vague. That is called sun sign astrology.
Well, it's like people saying all Virgos are organized, but if you don't come to my apartment, because you'll be surprised that I'm a Virgo if you go to my apartment.
See, the thing is, we're learning to be the sun sign. We are learning about that.
Oh, okay.
That does not mean we're an expert at it.
Oh, good point. That makes a lot more sense for me.
That is what would make sense for most people.
Pulling myself down because I'm not a typical Virgo.
I know. Well, you have other things in your chart, too. You have the moon and the Pluto in your first house, in the sign of Leo, is much stronger than you being a Virgo.
Oh.
So, and even though you're not a big showy person, but that Leo rising and the moon and Pluto in that very first house, which is the front door of Jane King. The first house is our front door. And what you have on that front door is way more showy and flamboyant, but you aren't. Your colors are flashy, which is good. But you don't.
Well, maybe there's a desire underneath here that's starting to pop.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's why. Maybe that's why things are starting to pop, because all my life I haven't been flamboyant.
Right.
And my chart says that's who I am.
And you're learning.
That's my front door.
It is your front door. But the Leo also is rules the heart. So it also, instead of being showy, but the clothing is showy. Most people who are Leo tend to wear flashy clothing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
wow.
They will. Most Leos or people with a strong Leo energy. And you have strong Leo energy because of those things I just said.
Because it's in my first house.
Because it's in your first house. It rules your first house. And the moon and Pluto are connected together in your first house. And so that's what people see. So the other energy-wise, as far as what Leo is all about, is caring and loving and very giving. So when you give your heart to somebody, or you really commit it passionately to something, people don't see you waver. You're like right there, and that's where you're at. And this is where where the full moon was. That's why this moon is very effective for you, because the sun is in this first house for you, and the full moon was over here in the 7th house of relationships.
Oh.
So this is something that is saying, let's pull a relationship into your life now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Where you at?
We've been saying that for a long time. We'll see what happens.
I know. My computer went to sleep, but it went to sleep. Wake up. There we go. So I want to pull your chart up and I don't recall. I can't remember exactly where what degree the sun is in at this moment in time. The sun's at 21 degrees, so it's still in your first house. So yeah, the sun's at 21 degrees of Leo.
Now, I had an epiphany thought one day. I'm driving up to church. I go to a spiritualist church up in Vermont, and driving up, I was doing the sermon, and something said to me, what if the earth is older than the sun? Is that possible?
That's astronomy.
Oh, not astrology.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the sun had to be, I think the sun had to be here first to
revolve around,
for us to revolve around for the gravitational. They needed,
We didn't kind of spit fire at the sun and make it a round sunball. I don't know. I just got that.
Humans. That's very egotistical for a human to think.
I know it is. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe that's where that's coming from. But maybe I don't know. I just started thinking maybe what we think about all these physical laws are not, that we just created them to explain that, and they're not really like the reason. We 1500, about 500 years ago, we thought the Earth was flat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we found out that it's round.
Right.
We used to think that everything revolved around the Earth.
I know.
And now we know everything revolves around the sun.
That's right.
But everything revolves around this Milky Way, really, and we don't know what everything's revolving around because it's so far out there in the universe.
This is true. We
want to keep going.
And a lot of people don't think that even astrology matters, because the planets are so far away. I mean, if the moon has such a slight effect on most of us, how can anything that's even further away have any effect on us?
Well, and that's the proverbial question: does the moon not have a slight effect, or does it have a profound effect? Look at a woman's menstrual cycle.
Yeah,
that's geared to 28 days, which is the cycle of the moon. That's a huge thing. That rules birthing and procreation and
absolutely
populating the earth.
Life itself.
Just life itself.
Yes.
So from that perspective, it's very, very
it is
connected to us and powerful
and
meaningful.
And the creators of astrology, whomever they were, I mean, we can go back as far as the Babylonian times that we know as far as writing and keeping records. And they did think that the earth, everything revolved around the earth. Mm-hmm. And Western astrology is geocentric. That just means that we do look that the sun is revolving around us. Uh-huh. Everything is revolving around us. And so we do look at it that way. Mm-hmm. And so
that's kind of what this chart is saying. Everything's revolving around me.
Around you. That's what I tell people.
How does everything revolve around
That's me? What I tell people. I'll pick up their chart and I'll say, this is you. You are the center of the solar system. You are the center of the universe. This is where everybody was around you at the time that you were born, and the mathematical angles that they were making, because this is what you've chosen to learn.
That's a miracle that all those planets were doing that the moment I was born.
I know. Yes.
That we actually can figure that out.
Yeah, I know. And as the planets are discovered, and as they scientifically take their position as a planet or a dwarf planet, like Pluto's been demoted as a dwarf planet, he doesn't care. He still knows he's in charge of major transitions in life. Because when Pluto was discovered, what was going on in the world was we were splitting the atom.
Oh, really?
And we were learning about, how to use that either constructively or destructively. And it was used destructively quite quickly after that, when the atom bomb and World War II ended.
Right.
So that's why Pluto has the reputation and the description, if you will, that it is all about where complete and total transformation happens in our life. So wherever Pluto is in your chart is an important thing. Again, you have it with your moon in your first house. So that means at least once in your life, you will go through a major metamorphosis.
I have gone through one.
At least one.
I have gone through one.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like, we all know we're a little bit different in our 50s or wherever we are in that scheme of things than we were in our 20s. Of course we are. That's just a natural procession of aging. But wherever Pluto is, and again, for you it's in your first house, so that just means the absolute ego, personality of who you are has gone through a complete transformation. And wherever it is in our charts is how Pluto affects us. And
So is
so
Pluto this little guy like this with the little hands up in the air?
that is him, yes. Yes, it is.
Got a little head, little hands up in the air, little
Yes.
feet going this way.
Every one of these symbols, which I can't show on here, but I teach this in classes, every symbol, they're called glyphs, the symbols for all the planets, all are made of a crescent, which is the crescent moon,
Okay.
a circle, which is the sun, or a cross, which
That's
represents
right.
the
I
four,
did notice
the
that.
four angles,
The four angles, the four directions.
four directions. So even Mars is a circle, so the sun, and there's the cross, but it's a little arrow, so the cross is just kind of bent down. But most of them, even Jupiter, there's the crescent there to the cross.
Yeah.
You can just see it in all of them. There's two crescents, a cross, and a circle with Uranus. I mean, you can see all of them having a crescent, a circle, and a cross in some way.
Oh, yeah.
And that is
It's
just,
a trilogy thing.
it is.
Wow.
Maiden, Mother, Crone, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and whatever there's. I'm sure there's others. I don't know them.
Father, child.
Yes. Yep. So and so as the planets came into our knowingness, those who were the forerunners, so to speak, in astrology at that period in human history, said, "Well, look at what's going on right now. I see this going on," and that's how those planets ended up with the definitions that they have. So it's kind of metaphorical. Just it's like looking at signs. It's like reading feathers. It is.
Right, that's true.
I found a barn owl feather
A barn owl.
when I was on vacation. Yeah, so beautiful. Decided to make a dream catcher. I've never made one, so me and my roommates made dream catchers, and it's like, it's going in there. So I wove it in.
Wait, a barn owl in your dream catcher.
Yeah. I don't know what it will do for me, but I've been having some interesting dreams. So I'm waking up with like snow, Mount Chikora.
Oh, wow.
And the snow was like, no, I'm not done with summer yet. I don't want to dream about winter.
I think it's more about the moisture and the white
Okay.
and the fluffiness.
All right. There were three men measuring. I was watching them measure the last snowstorm. That was what my dream was last night. I'm like, no.
Measuring the snow.
I know. I don't want to know what that is. I can't even imagine. But needless to say,
It's not coming to me what it is, so we'll let it ride.
we'll let it ride. That's a good thing.
And so I was curious also about the ancient peoples. I know that the indigenous cultures all had their way of reading the stars. And lots of times we hear science say, well, they didn't know this till 500 years ago or 300 years ago. And really, the ancient cultures knew a lot more than we give them credit for knowing.
Yeah, I believe so.
And that wasn't written down. So the astrology that you study and practice goes back to Babylonian times, which is what, 2,000 years?
About
3,000?
3,000.
3,000
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm always just curious about that, and we don't really know because there's no written history.
No, the Mayans kept track too, and we know that,
Yeah,
just
the
from
Mayan calendar.
everybody, us in modern day, whatever that is.
12/21/12, and that
Yes.
big day that was supposed to change the world.
Right. And it was just an estimate. I mean, we don't know.
Right.
Nobody
And then
really
some people are
knows.
saying it was 2011 to 2015, so that we're still sort of in that swing
And
of
we
it all.
can be. Yeah, and we probably are. And
Yeah.
I mean,
So does your astrology chart say anything about that, or where you watch the heavens move? Was there any corroboration of that from? No.
no, 2011 was much more important than 2012.
It was.
So I would have to agree with 2011.
I think it was Melchizedek. What's his name?
Yeah.
Drunvalo Melchizedek that started that fall of 2011. thing.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, on the winter solstice, the sun is at the position that is the center. If we were to look, follow the sun, it is at the center of our soul. It points to the center of the Milky Way.
Oh, okay.
And it does that every year.
At the
on
winter
December
solstice,
21st.
it
Yes, on
points
the winter
to the
solstice.
center of the Milky Way.
Yeah. It always does.
Always.
So that's not anything special. I mean, it's special because it's great. It's a mark. It's the beginning of a year.
And so how could any intelligent force do that?
I don't know.
That
That's
points-
always the question.
The sun comes around and it's right on our equator, and
Mm-hmm.
it points directly to the center of the whole galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
The center of the galaxy on December 21st.
Yeah.
Every December 21st.
Every December 21st.
And that's kind of like called the Earth's New Year.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because that's when the sun in the northern hemisphere starts to increase again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should be celebrating that day. Well, some people say that's what Christmas is all about.
And that's what it is. Yule is celebrated on that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the pagan holiday of Yule.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would always celebrate the birth of the sun god, the birth of the sun god. And they do a whole ritual around that. And then the Christians did their thing and have their thing, and Jesus Christ was born. So that was the birth of the Son of God. Just of is entered.
Wow.
The sun god or the Son of God. And so that's only 4 days after Yule.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all right, because you know you're celebrating life, you're celebrating birth, you're celebrating new hope. To me, I'm probably pretty agnostic, so to me it doesn't matter whether you're going to celebrate one or the other, because you're celebrating new life, new light, hope, and that's what the birth of Christ is all about. That's what the celebration of Yule is about, because it's very earth-centered. Obviously, because they celebrated the earth.
Right.
They knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Maybe that's where that came from.
Maybe that's where that came from. Even though, yeah.
Yeah.
So then what about the Chinese New Year, which is the end of February or something?
I know nothing about Chinese
nothing
astrology.
about okay.
I have to apologize. I know nothing about it.
Okay.
I am so focused on Western astrology that I know it exists. I know I'm a rat, but I don't even know what element I am.
You're that kind of a rat.
Yes. In Chinese astrology, 1960 is the rat. So that would be me. Oh, you all know how old I am now.
Well, I was born 1950, and I think I'm a tiger.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yep. So, depending on,
And
know,
this
the
is the
month
year of the
and year.
horse, which
It is, yes. Yeah.
in Chinese, whatever that means. So
I
what they did
know.
is they took the 12, who knew?
They have a
knows?
12. They have a 12 section zodiac as well. Yeah.
Okay, so there's something standard.
12.
The
is
12, and we have
standard.
12 months of the year.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and
12
that did match.
disciples and whatever.
know.
And 1 and 2 is 3, and there's the trilogy of the
I know.
crescent, the circle, and the
Yeah, and the
cross.
cross. I know. You wonder. You know,
a lot of these
it's
things that are all kind of this-
synchronistic.
synchronistic, yeah, the
Or
same.
maybe it's on purpose. We'll never know. I don't think we're intelligent enough I don't, yeah. That section in here isn't opened yet.
Right.
We can't fathom
We
it.
only use 5 or 10% of what's in there.
Yeah, we can't fathom it.
And science keeps trying to tell us what the other part is about, but I don't think they even know.
No, they don't. Just like our DNA, they're not sure about that either.
No, I know.
There's a whole bunch of stuff they call junk DNA.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they just call it junk DNA because they don't know what it is. Yes, they do. I've watched shows. I love watching sciencey things like that. I'm pretty intrigued by those types of things. So
Junk DNA.
yeah.
Well, I just this movie that I'm going to be showing in a couple of weeks called I Am, and they're doing this question what's wrong with the world and what can we do about it, and interviewing a lot of scientists and historians and spiritual leaders. But he's talking about the DNA, and our DNA is 99.99% the same as everything else on the earth.
Yeah.
Animals, trees, rocks. I mean, everything. The DNA in everything is the same DNA as us.
I
How
know.
can that be? How can that be? So our cells somehow differentiate us into humans, and they know that somehow.
Gosh.
But our DNA is the same, so everything must have a few junk cells, and who knows what they do, right? So that's
Yeah.
the whole point. They don't know what these junk DNA things do.
God, that's amazing.
It is
So
amazing.
the Buddha was right. We are everything.
The Buddha's right. Yeah. I say that every time I kill a mosquito, I'm sorry I had to kill you. I hope you're not somebody I knew.
You know what I do?
The other night
I think I read this. I think the Dalai Lama said this. Because somebody asked him. Because, that's, it's absurd to think that if a bug is biting you, that eventually he's not going to accidentally, and he goes, I look at it like this. I just usher that creature into its next incarnation.
Right, I love it. I usher that creature into its next incarnation quicker.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of just say, well, if it's your turn to go, then if my turn's right around the corner, I guess I'm ready to get swatted.
I know. I did.
You know, what can you do?
I killed something when I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and she is hypersensitive to those things. I killed something. It was a bug or mosquito, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a chipmunk now then. It's going to be a chipmunk. And not even a week later, a chipmunk ran in front of my car, and of course, I mean, there was no missing it.
It was a suicide.
It was poof.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, oh, what are you next? Because I don't want to know. I don't want to hit you.
I don't want to hit the next incarnation of that.
No, I felt bad. I don't like killing things, but...
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I know. A friend of mine hit a woodchuck.
Oh, that's...
You don't want to hit any... I don't want to hit any animals.
No.
But what are you going to do? That's a big message in that. So you have... that's... For me, from my perspective, that's the medicine. That animal or that bug is giving you their medicine. So you really need to look up their medicine and see what that is. Like chipmunk, they like to store things. So maybe you need to, store things.
Yeah.
Look at what you're
storing. Ago. Yeah. It was a while ago. Last night, riding home from wherever I was in Andover last night, so I was driving home late and it was raining. I was on 495 in Massachusetts, right?
In that storm?
Yeah, in that storm. And what ran across the road was a little minx. It looks like a ferret or a little
skinny,
little tiny skinny little thing. And I rarely see them. That's only like the fourth time I've seen them, but that's the third one I've seen in a matter of 6 months. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I look it up, you know.
What is it?
Well, I forget because I didn't look because it was like at 11 o'clock last night. It was really late.
Right. So I didn't have a chance.
I haven't had a chance
digest
yet.
what it is. Well, we'll give a gong to the mink.
I think so.
Mink, which is also what's the other one?
Ermine.
Ermine. Ermine.
Yep.
And what is a brown ermine? But those are members of the. Like you said, the rat family.
And the weasel. Oh, no
The
kidding.
weasel.
The weasel.
Yes, and weasels are stealth and talking about secrecy. Mm-hmm. So, and plus they have they probably want to be kept, they probably want to keep away from humans because of all the mink coats we've made out of them. Because they have a beautiful, beautiful soft fur.
Yep.
Very, very soft fur.
But jeepers, running across the highway. I mean, it was 495. It's 4 lanes across.
Right, and it made it?
Yeah. I was in like the third lane, and he was, and I'm like, and there was very few vehicles behind me, and I didn't see anybody swerve, so fingers crossed.
Great. Well, it's better than seeing a turtle crossing 495.
Oh, yeah.
Or 89. But,
oh, yeah.
So you got some good medicine going on here.
I guess so. I pay attention, so they show themselves always, so and whatever's going on,
maybe that's
I pay
with the
attention.
chipmunk. Maybe it graduated to a mink.
Oh, there you go. Oh, good. At least I didn't run him over.
He's still around.
Thank God.
He's still around. I saw this YouTube video this morning that of this. I don't know why this is coming up, but this dog. I think it was like a Boston Terrier, one of those ugly. It has that little face, but it's so ugly. It's so cute, but it was upside down on its belly, and all these little chicks were running around on its belly, and it was loving it. It was just totally in bliss with all these baby chickens. Little tiny chicks running around on its belly. Animals, I just love animals.
Yeah.
They have so much to teach us and to show us. And who knows when we were one, if we ever were one.
Yeah.
You know, in our incarnations. People say some people believe.
Yeah, the Buddha does.
The Buddha does.
We go forward, and human is it's debatable, but human is the top of the pole, the totem pole as far as the planet goes.
As far as the Earth. I mean, when we get to a human, that's the highest vibration we can have. We won't go back to being a horse or...
Not.
No?
We'll not go backwards.
Hallelujah. I don't want to worry about that.
That's the Buddhist belief. It's hard to know. Who knows?
Yeah, I thought we kind of kept weaving in and out of it all. I didn't know that we just sort of kept going up.
I think we kind of go up and up as far
up
as...
and up?
Up and up, yeah. So where next?
Going to be angels. That's where I saw myself being an angel once when Dejana Cody, she's another psychic. She did a a past life thing in this group setting, and she takes you back on this journey, and you get in a canoe, and you go down the stream, and then you get off, and this whole thing, and then you come back and say where you were. And when I got off, I was standing in a cloud, and I couldn't see my feet, and that must have been I was an angel. I don't know. That's what I got out of it.
How interesting.
It was interesting.
An angel is good.
Yeah. She didn't know what to say about it at the time, so maybe she has more to say about it now.
I know. It's like, that's very different. So what would you,
Yeah.
That is very different.
I was standing on a cloud.
Wow.
I could see my legs, but not my feet. I'm still alive, so it's not like I'm going to die soon.
No. But if you can't see your feet, and in astrology, the astrology of things, the planets, or each of the zodiac signs actually are in charge of the body, a certain section of the body too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if you can't see your feet, the feet is Pisces. It's the final, the last sign, and it's our feet, and it's about moving forward, or fear of moving forward.
Oh, okay.
Or I can't see where I'm going, but since I'm in the clouds, I'm going to have faith. That's Neptune, clouds. I'm going to have faith that wherever I'm going, it's okay.
Wow.
I'm not able to see that next step.
That could be it, because that was when I was transitioning from being an accountant into my healership at that period. Like I was going to healing school, I think, and I, going from a full-time, all benefits,
knowing where your next week pay was coming from.
So maybe that was the message. That was really great, Dorothy. Thank you. I've been wondering about that for a long time.
Well, that's what it is, and that was intuitive info too. But I just know that the clues I get, because of the way I know astrology, the clues I get is that the feet and then the clouds, and that is I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Just having the faith that next step's going to be there. And that's a great way, we're almost out of time, I can see, but that's a great way to just leave a little message for people. It's just like, you don't have to study astrology. I would love you to, because I love to teach it, so come on over. But you don't have to know how to do any of these things, but you have to, if you have something that you're really passionate about and you truly want to do, then you just put your heart and soul into it, and just have that faith that every step you take is the right one. Don't overthink things. It's great to plan. You have to plan. We're physical human beings. We have to plan because we have to eat. We have to do all these things. But when you are passionate about doing something or being somebody or creating something, you cannot make a mistake. You can't, because everything is a lesson, and and you just continue to learn and move forward, and have that faith that next step's there. Whatever you can't see it's kind of like Indiana Jones trying to find the goblet there, the chalice, and there's nothing there, and the cave is way over there, and he finally kicks some dirt out, and then you can see that path is actually there, because he was brave to take that step.
The proverbial
first step that you can't see, because you can't see the results.
Into the abyss of nothingness.
Right, which it isn't.
It isn't, but it's like standing on a cloud.
Yes.
You don't know what's supporting you.
Yeah, but you have that faith that whatever it is, it's there, especially if you know. So.
Wow, great.
That's how I do it.
Great.
Yeah.
So the astrology tells you so much about so many things that you don't even think about.
Yes.
Like you just mentioned.
Yeah. It does.
Wow.
It does. And so it leads you down paths and
down different roads.
Yeah. And something really fun. Last night I had no agenda in the class last night, and only 3 people came, so it was a very intimate group last night. Typical for the summertime. And I had no agenda, so we just started talking. It's a study group, so what do you want to know? We just started talking, and what we ended up talking about was how to win the lottery.
In astrology? Like what's the best numbers to play, and when's the best time to play? Not numbers,
but just timing of things. And so the lottery and winning something big is really exciting to people, so they're going to remember. They're going to remember what I taught last night, because it was about, well, I'm going to try this and see if it works. It works sometimes. I've tried it. It doesn't work every time, but it works once in a while, because it really depends on many, many factors,
Right, the whole heavens being lined up in a certain way.
Absolutely, and it has to be written in your chart. It has to be written in the stars that it's supposed to happen for you.
Yeah.
It has to be
Is
in
it written
your
in the
chart.
stars for me? I don't
I
think
haven't
so. It
studied
hasn't.
your chart. I can't tell you.
Well, I think if it would have happened, it was going to happen. It would have happened by now.
You never know.
You never know. Well,
You
thank
never
you,
know.
Dorothy. This has
You're
been so
welcome.
much fun,
Yes.
chatting with you about astrology and the stars and the moon and all that there is, and
Vibrations and keeping
keeping up
it
good
light.
vibrations.
Yeah.
So next week on the show, I have my friend Bernice White, and she's from Bermuda. She's up here in New Hampshire, New London for the summer. She's going to come on the show talking about. She has studied Rohan and Delphi University. She's a graduate, and she's a PhD in. I'm not sure exactly what her PhD is in, but she's going to be very interesting. She's coming on the show next week, and then the following week, my friend Barb Woolley will be on and interviewing me. So that'll be
Nice.
a little different. So you'll get to hear about whatever she's questioning me about. And actually, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, you can go on my website and just do a little comment on a question you might want to know about me or about what I do or whatever. And then on the 4th of September, my friend Saul Solomon is coming back, and he has a company called Truly Natural, and he's very passionate about naturopathy and healing, and he's been selling to the natural foods market for 40 years, so he knows a lot about naturopathy. And I've got some classes coming up, so if you want to go on my website, which is at the bottom of the screen, you can always check out what's going on. I have a movie next week from this Friday, which is August 22nd, and that's I Am the Film, and I've mentioned that before on the show. So I'm so happy. This is a show that brings new people and new ideas to you, the audience. I hope you enjoy the show today. Thank you again to Manchester TV for hosting this wonderful having this wonderful studio available. And until next time, remember, your heart knows the way. Until next time.